Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. A little bit of side-by-side hopeful goodness in the form of Civil Life Brewing. It's their Scottish ale. And their Scottish wee heavy. Comes courtesy of my boy Jason from Missouri. He's since off Civil Life. I get happy. It's been a couple years. Kind of pumped to dive into these. Let's get to it. Over here we have Civil Life Brewing Company. Be Civil Scottish Style Ale. This was canned January 23rd, 2024. It's only the 16th of February, so it's not all that old. As far as their notes go, they go, our Scottish ale is a dark with notes of caramel and nuts, complemented by a citrus notes from Cascade hops. It's a classic craft hybrid ale that celebrates centuries-old European brewing traditions with uniquely American twist. Done and done. Be civil, drink local. Over here, we have their Wee Heavy Scottish Ale. Over here we have our Wee Heavy Scottish Ale. Strong ale is a deep copper in color and full body with rich layered caramelized malt notes, pleasant spice, and a hint of sweetness. Decided to use this side by side. That's because a lot of breweries do Scotch Ale and Wee Heavy as interchangeable. These are quite a bit different. They actually talk about Imperial over here. They don't say anything about ABV over here, and there is no ABV in the cans. I looked them up. Be fair, there was no ABV on the website. I went to Untapped, 5.5, 9.9. That's what they say on the Untapped. Is that correct? I assume so. The brewery probably put it up there, but we'll see what's what. Label-wise, it's whatever, plaid. I don't hate it. We'll see what's what. So, yeah, I decided to do these as side by side. Ooh, man, that thing popped. I'm sure you heard that. I wonder if this one's not so much on this one over here. Okay. We got a difference out of the chute. So, what are we expecting here? Like I said, a lot of breweries will do a Scotch Ale / Wee Heavy as, or even beer classification sites, kind of lump them all together. But there can be a difference, obviously, if you go like by BJCP and all that kind of fun stuff. Here, Civil Life is doing the direct interpretation of higher ABV. I'm assuming, since these are both relatively, they're canned on the same exact date, I'm assuming, this is assumption for me, I'm assuming they just did a really robust mash over here and did a second running on the mash, and that's what they got over here. It's old school. It's typically what they do. That's my guess what's going on. Looking at the beers, you wouldn't think that, though. They look very, very similar as far as coloration goes. I hold them up to a light. I'm not going to lie to you. The Scotch Ale might be a skosh darker. So, I mean, they are not any richer as far as darkness goes. The head looks relatively the same over here, maybe even a skosh darker in the head, a little bit more foam to it. So it's kind of like one of those things where the ABV might be beating the head down here, but this one actually comes off a little bit different in coloration as far as darkness goes. You would think it would be the other way around, at least as far as what the ABV says on the old Untaps. So yeah, but it looks the part of a nice, rich, dark, shilling kind of Wee Heavy Scottish style ale. Let's go over here. So they speak of nuts over here. Absolutely nuts. Not nuts in like a crazy cool way. It's cool, but it's a big nutty kind of characteristic on the aromatics. Big kind of almost toasted like hazelnutty kind of thing going on. Very reminiscent of like hazelnut beer. A nice maltiness. Sometimes you can get with your Scotch / Wee Heavies a little bit of peatiness. I don't think they're going with a peated malt on, at least on this side of things. So it's a nice, rich, almost like molassesy kind of sweetness to it, with that little bit of malty nut characteristic. Done and done. I talk about citrus notes over here. Not really getting a big fruit, a bomb characteristics. Not that I expect that. Probably follow through a little bit more on a taste, but over here it's just pretty much malt driven. As much as we expect it to be the same over here. Honestly, it kind of follows suit. There's a little bit, you can tell there's a little bit of beefiness as far as just a skosh more heat to this beer. But it comes off a little bit more subdued. There's a lot of the same notes that you're getting over here, but there's just not that nutty characteristic. It's kind of there, but it's not as big. That molassesy malt comes off a little bit more tempered. but you can tell there's a little bit more of an alcohol blow off. Maybe it's a nostril thing or something like that. But excuse me, burps. They both smell quite nice. Let's dive in to the Scotch ale. I can see where they're coming with that little bit of citrusy, cascadey thing. It comes off a little bit piney for me, but I can get the citrus off of it too. But it kind of throws me off a little bit because I'm not used to that hop profile being in a Scotch ale. You're definitely getting that little bit of a subtly sweet molasses. It comes off way more richer sweet in the nose than it does actually in the taste. You're getting that little bit of sweet molasses, like kind of maltiness to it. That nutty characteristic is there in the taste, but not nearly, again, as big as you think it was going to be based off of what you got off the nose. It really is that pop of hops, that little bit of citrus, that little bit of pininess coming from that cascade that really shines through more than anything else. It's really just not even the precursors of that bittering, that pininess aren't really even there in the nose. So when you get it in the taste, it's just kind of a little bit of a jolt. And since it is a Scotch ale, a wee heavy, it's just a really weird kind of mix. It almost makes me kind of, when I drink it, I think more Cascadian dark ale. It's not that hoppy, but it's hoppy enough to make me think that. If I were to get this as a mystery beer and I didn't know what I was drinking, I might think this is actually a Cascadian hopped. Sorry, Cascadian dark ale. But I like it. It's nice. It's tasty. Is it what I traditionally would expect from a Scotch ale? No. Do I hate it? Absolutely not. I think it's quite tasty. Off we go. Then we happy. Cheers, y'all. See, that's very much more what I expect traditionally from a Scotch ale and or a wee heavy, because you're not getting that bigger pop of that Cascadian hops in here. Not saying they're not using that hop in here, but it just doesn't come off that way. The beer, this drinks close to, if not a little bit bigger than 5 and change. This drinks well below 9.9. I have a hard time thinking this is 9.9. I'm not saying Untapped is wrong. I could be wrong. But I think this is a bit smaller than that. And it honestly really does follow in lockstep. The way the nose going from here, back and forth. It's very much all the DNA of what you have going on over here. Oddly enough, muted, because it's a higher ABV beer. You think those richer malts and those kind of things were going to come off a little bit bigger, a little bit more robust. But there's just more of a richness to it. And I don't mean like we're dialing up everything. It's just there's a richness to it. There's a thickness to it. You drink it, the mouthfeels are relatively the same, but there's a stickiness to this beer when you drink it. The molasses is a little bit denser. Everything here is just a little bit more heavy. Hey, heavy. There you go. But as far as volumetric on flavor and aromatics, it's not there. It's really, really weird. It's a really weird combination. I'm not saying I hate it or I dislike it. It's probably one of the more kind of, I don't want to use this as a negative term, safer wee heavy that I've had. Some of the ones that have really kind of, for me, have been some of the seminal American-made ones. Obviously you have Old Chub, but there's a bunch of ones that are from various companies that I'm blanking on at the moment that just bring a little bit more to the table for me. But as far as how do I put this? Because I'm not that guy. I think this is probably more in tune with what BJCP standards would probably say a wee heavy's supposed to be like, as opposed to the Americanized version of it. Now, this one over here, they actually call it out in the can that it's an Americanized take on that style. It's that to a T. But when you get that kind of back and forth between them, and like I said, being that they're canned the same day, I assume they're brewed in the same manner in some form or fashion. I think they're fun beers. I think they're great. Are they up there as some of my favorites of life I've ever had? No. They're not negative beers by any stretch. But I'm trying to figure out which one I like the best. And it's weird, because the traditionalism over here has something for me. But that little twist of hops that makes me kind of think about things over here has a little something going for it too. So it's a fun little combination. I like them both equally for on their own merits. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Tasty, fun, very traditional style. I would say more somewhere in between a wee heavy and a Scotch ale, probably This is what I expected this to taste like. Let's put it that way. This is what I expected this to taste like with that American hot dose. And I think they're both fun beers. And fun beer. How fun, beer being fun? Who would have thunk it? Anyway, thank you very much, Jason, for sending these off. So, gotta do it. Let's see how this combo goes down. The old sweet, delicious cuvee. It smells more like that in the nose. I think that's a winner. I think that taste. I think you're getting that little bit of richness over here, or not richness, that little bit more flavor, a little bit more volume on all the ingredients, and that little bit of hop just adds a little bit of spice to this little density, thicker, richer beer over here. It makes for a funner combination. I think this is a great mix. If I had these cans, I would drink some of this, some of that. I'd plow them both together like I just did into a mixture of Scottish ale goodness. So there you go. Reviews in the books. It's weird because, you know, I typically go through my spiel. Are these some of the better wee heavy / Scotch ales that I've had as of late? They default to that. I can't remember the last time. Can I remember? I've probably had a couple over the past year, so it defaults. In the grand scheme of things, are these some of the best Scotch ales / wee heavies that I've had? They're in the conversation. They're not towards the top. They're not Mount Rushmore for me. But as far as really well-made solid beers, that's not me knocking Civil Life. They're one of my favorite breweries. It's just some of their other traditional English-style pub beers have done me a bit better. Value availability. I didn't check the prices when I went to their website, but they're typically like what I think beer should be, which is like $10 or less a sixer. I'll leave you with, if you like what we like, these beers. I feel like Scotch ales will be heavies. I think you dig this. Is it going to be what you're used to? No. But I don't expect that to be the case. You don't want the same beer from every brewery. But if you dig those styles, you will dig this. I think if you dig traditional beers, drinking beers, pub beers, I think Civil Life, you're going to be very hard-pressed to find a brewery that's going to do you much better. Let's put it that way. So there you go. Review in the books. Civil Life. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had these two beers? What's your favorite Civil Life beer? All that fun stuff down there. So there you go. Review in the books. Hopefully all enjoyed. Hopefully you're drinking some great small pub beer right now. Well, we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.